To provide access to resources in an easy and meaningful way, most administrators will utilize groups. Grouping your identities, your users, and even grouping other groups inside of groups, and then assigning roles or permissions to groups. Groups have existed since the beginning of identity services inside of Windows servers and networks, and it was part of Active Directory, and groups, of course, are part of Azure Active Directory. As well, if you have a Microsoft 365 subscription, there is a special type of group that you will also be able to create as part of your Azure AD tenant. So let's click on Groups within Azure Active Directory Admin Center. And when I click on Groups, I see all of the groups inside of my tenant. Now, the piece that's important here is these two columns, Group Type and Membership Type. So there is a group type of Security or Microsoft 365. There is also a membership type of Assigned or Dynamic. So the standard group that you will create in Azure AD will be a security group, which means a group to which you will assign permission, a group that you will be able to use to secure access to a resource. The members of that group will be able to have any permissions that are assigned to the group, any rights that are assigned to the group. A Microsoft 365 group is slightly different. It also has all of the characteristics of a security group, plus it is also used for Microsoft 365 collaboration. A Microsoft 365 group will have access to other resources throughout Microsoft 365 as well. For example, the group will also have a Microsoft team. Then we have our membership. So we have a membership of dynamic or assigned. Assigned means that you are manually adding members to the group. So this is sort of a traditional group where you take members, and those members could be users or other groups, and you add them to the group. Then you have dynamic membership. A dynamic membership means that users are dynamically added to the group based on a rule or a predicate. Basically, you are setting up a parameter that says that this group will include anyone that shares this parameter. And that parameter could be anything. Anyone that belongs to the office of Seattle. Anyone that has a manager of Mike B. Anyone that is a type of user that is member. You can specify any type of rule for your membership type. So if I click on any one of these groups, I'll first click here on the all user groups. It has a number of properties, and I can also see the members of that group. And I have many members of the group. This group has a rule that specifies that all members are basically users. So it takes any new user and it adds it to that group. It includes all the users in my tenant. I want to highlight the fact that if I try to create a new group in my tenant, I will not be able to create a dynamic group. Now, I have a couple of dynamic groups in my tenant, but I cannot create any new dynamic groups. And that's because dynamic groups are only created in P1 or P2 tenants. So if you'll remember, I talked about a premium licensing for Azure AD. And you require that premium license P1 or P2 in order to be able to create a dynamic group. My tenant is a Azure AD free license, which doesn't have the ability to do that. I once participated in a trial where I was able to create those groups, and that's why today I still have dynamic groups in my tenant. So if I go to create a new group, I can select Security or Microsoft 365. And the reason why I have Microsoft 365 is because I have also a Microsoft 365 subscription that is tied to my tenant. If I click on Security, I can put a name to the group, a group description, and then I can add owners and members. Owners, of course, can manage the group, and members belong to the group. If I click on Microsoft 365, again, I can specify a group name, but also a group email address, where the group will have an email address that it can use to communicate with other members of my tenant. And then again, I can specify owners and members. And again, to highlight the fact that for both groups, I can normally select assign or dynamic, but because my license doesn't allow for dynamic, the only choice is assigned, which means I would have to manually add members to the group. For example, here, I would click in this environment, look for a user like Mike B, and I would add Mike B to the group. And now this group has one member. Creating groups is very easy as part of your Azure AD tenant. And once you have a group created, you can assign a role to the group. You can create an administrative group and then assign a role, and then that group will be able to perform administrative tasks. Or you can share access to a database, share access to a storage account, or provide access to a virtual machine inside of your Azure AD subscription. There's no limit to what you can provide access to for a group, the same way that you would provide access to a user. Now that we've looked at creating users and creating groups and managing those users and groups, and that we've already talked a little bit about Azure Active Directory and its primary role as part of your Azure subscription, let's take a look at some of the more advanced configuration in Azure Active Directory, or some configurations that you should be aware of to help you optimize your Azure Active Directory deployment. So if I'm here in the Azure Active Directory Admin Center, I'm going to look at these different options here on the left. One of those here is administrative units. Administrative units to you administrators who come from on-prem Windows and Active Directory environment. You'll remember the term organizational units, or OUs, in Active Directory. An administrative unit is essentially the same thing in Active Directory, in Azure Active Directory, allowing you to organize all of your objects and then manage them as a single entity. Think of a resource group for Azure AD. Going down the list here, I also have devices. The same way that devices on an on-prem network can join Active Directory, you can have also devices that can be registered to or join Azure AD and therefore be managed by your organization. I also have my app registrations here where I can publish my applications to my users specifically using Azure AD. I also have Azure AD Connect. I've spoken briefly about Azure AD Connect because it's a very, very broad tool with a lot of implications. But Azure Active Directory Connect allows you to connect your Azure AD tenant to an Active Directory domain or forest on an on-prem network, allowing you to create hybrid connectivity between your internal and cloud identities. Custom domain names is where we can create custom domains that will be used for email addresses. And what's funny here is I can add any domain. So you saw that when I created a user account, I could specify a UPN for the user account, or a user principal name that looks like an email address. The UPN is a combination of a prefix, a username prefix, and then a suffix that is the domain name. So I can create here a custom domain name, and I can have it be anything. It could be Microsoft.com if I want to. And you see that the validation check here is approved. It only really just checks that there is no other name already in existence in my tenant, and that I'm using a proper syntax, using a dot in between at least two names. When I add the domain, it's going to ask me to verify the domain. But the verification will fail because I do not own Microsoft.com as a domain, and therefore I won't be able to verify it. But if I try the verification, it will fail. The domain will still be available for my tenant. However, I cannot use it for email addresses. So you saw that my validation failed, but Microsoft.com is there as part of my domains. But when I create a user account, I cannot select Microsoft.com as a suffix for the UPN until I've actually verified it. And I won't be able to verify it because I don't own it. Moving down the list here, I also have password reset. This is where I'm going to specify self-service password reset for my users. So right now, all of my users can reset their own passwords. If I want, I can stop that, or I can prevent that by saying that none, that if a user forgets their password, they're unable to reset it. that would be somewhat of an administrative nightmare. So I don't recommend doing that in your tenant. You should allow your users to reset their passwords unless you have a specific security requirement that prevents that. Under monitoring here, I also have my sign-in logs. Sign-in logs can be very useful when you want to see when a user signed in to your tenant. So you can actually see the IP address of the user, you can see their location, and you can also see their name and what workload they accessed. So I have this user here that access a Microsoft Teams workload, and that is their IP address that's masked out here, and the location where they access from. It knows based on the IP address where that IP address is located. So this can be useful in troubleshooting access to your tenant. As well, I have my audit logs, which audits any change in Azure AD. So this is not global to your entire Azure subscription. It simply audits any changes to identities or management inside of Azure AD. So just earlier, I tried to add a Microsoft.com domain and verified, and you saw that the verification failed. You saw that the addition was a success. And I also see that it was done by a user, which is me. And I see my username here, as well as the IP address that I used to access. Again, to troubleshoot and verify that people that are making changes are actually the legitimate users making those changes and that they are doing it from the location you would expect them to do it, you can use your audit logs to validate that. And anything that happens in my Azure AD tenant is audited by default. If you go down this list of various options here for Azure AD, you may notice that some of them are unavailable to you, and the majority of the settings and the functionalities that are unavailable because you do not have a premium Azure AD license. What's included and excluded in a premium AD license is a moving target. Microsoft often changes what is included or excluded in those licenses. So make sure to review the contents of the Premium P1 and Premium P2 licenses to see if there's any services in there that could be useful for your organization.